Hi doll people. I am no longer doing commissions. I have to do this video. And I realized that it looks really bare around me. Anyway, I am in the doll room. I just happened to have gotten a new lounge chair, which I'm sitting in right now. And there are no dolls behind me, which is weird. I need to put up some shelves over here. I've decided to stop taking commissions, and I've also decided that it's just not for me anymore. I still love dolls, and I still enjoy painting them. I just don't enjoy painting them for other people anymore. But if I'm honest, the reason why the biggest reason why I've decided to close my commission doors indefinitely is mainly people. I recently just had an interesting commission slot. This commission slot was doomed to fail from the beginning, it seems. But it wasn't something that I seen coming. Circumstances of the pandemic, my moving to a whole nother city, the commissioner not wanting to see progress photos, miscommunication on my part. It was just a shit show. And that shit show highlighted absolutely everything I don't want to ever have to deal with again with people in the doll community at all. So I decided, you know what? I don't have to do this. I don't have to sit specifically in the BJD hobby and have people blow glitter smoke up my ass only for them to rip me apart and tear me down and try and guilt me and manipulate me into doing what they want done. So I've decided, no, I'm not gonna do that anymore. I don't need somebody sending me bullet points, of which I didn't read, about why they feel like something should have been done. Because if I'm honest, I just don't have the energy anymore to give a fuck about other people's feelings. I can't spend my entire life personally away from work coddling people's feelings. I don't have the time, I don't have the capacity, and I just don't care. I just don't care. Honestly don't care. They're fucking dolls. Get over yourself. And if you can't, kick rocks. That's it. Thankfully, my family is okay. But in my line of work, I've watched people lose people. I've watched people go through things. There are people going through things. There are people now dealing with being laid off for a second time in the same ordeal. People are depressed. People are upset. People are angry. We have a ridiculous president, and that's putting it lightly. So in the grand scheme of things, congratulations, you were disgruntled about your doll. I just don't have the capacity for that kind of entitlement, and how fucking dare you try and guilt me into giving you a refund. You will get that refund when PayPal issues you your refund. I'm not going in and spending time out of my day to go in and appease your immaturity. So I wanted to do that because I've been getting people asking me about commissions, even though that my Instagram says I'm no longer taking commissions, which I expected because God forbid you have people read. I'm no longer doing commissions anymore. And I'm very happy about that because I get to actually focus on what I'd like to do, and be centered in my own creativity without being tainted by someone else's mindset or being depressed by someone else's bullshit. today I had a good old cry, and I spoke to my mother, and it was good. It was very therapeutic. And amongst that therapy, of course, there are my dolls. And there are people that you should meet. Julius, named by my husband. Julius is a Dulce Saint head, and I have both. This is the faceplate version. I have his open eyes, and I also have his closed eyes. But he is a garden spirit. This guy's job is to go in the garden, locate dying plants, and heal them. So he's a healer, and he heals all the plants that are dying. This is Ander. Yes, this is Ander, and this is Julius. And Ander is the Dulce Saint head sleeping faceplate on a LUT Senior Delph, Super Senior Delph? Yes, LUT Super Senior Delph body. I think he's a fantastic hybrid. I think both of them are fantastic hybrids, actually. And I didn't have to wait a million years for them to come in from Dulce. But these are brothers. And the wonderful thing about the two of them is that this guy is a healer. They're both in tune with the earth, and they both have something to do with plants. He's the healer of the plants. So if they're sick, he heals them. But if he can't be strong enough to heal them and they die, he goes and he brings them back to life. Those two brothers have a lot to do with Yumi, my Dust of Dolls doom Mwah. She speaks to plants and everything, but see, her job is more of the garden tender. If that makes garden tender? Gardener, I guess. Yeah. Wow. Ooh, wow. Yeah, her job is more of a gardener. She tends the garden, and she's the socialization of these plants, because plants don't move around a lot. She cares for them. They're her babies. She connects with them. They're her best friends. And she has this grand connection to the earth. Like, it's very much a part of who she is. These two brothers, while they don't know her, somehow they come to know her because they need to heal a forest that she's connected with, and she's mourning because the forest is dying because of industrialization. She doesn't really know what to do. She's doing all the protesting as she can, and she's losing this battle. These two brothers end up meeting Yumi because they become very close because they got the same objective, that is to heal and protect this garden. Okay, so that amongst these two babies, they're so heavy. They're sitting in my lap. They're just heavy. Like, they're heavy. So those two guys developed, and I've actually got a handle on this story that's kind of been up in the air, which is crazy because you guys know I don't really make stories. I'm not much of a storyteller, but there's definitely something here that I need to write down in my journal, which I was doing last night. The story doesn't have a title. I don't know what to call it. But I do have something here, and I feel it. Ander and Julius, they're trying to heal this forest. Julius is doing his best to heal, but he's not healing fast enough because there's a period in which he needs to rejuvenate. So he's not healing fast enough. Ander, for a lot of the dead plants already, he's bringing them back to life. But he's plunging himself into a dark, dark place. Because he has to go into the death realm and liberate these plants. And the plants aren't just regular flowers. They aren't just what meets the eye. These plants are actually deceased human beings that have been reincarnated into the planet. So when he goes to get them, he's not just fighting the death of them being, he's just not fighting the death. He's also fighting depression, anxiety, iniquity, like debauchery, all of it. He's fighting all of that, and he's purifying them to bring them back. So not only does he bring them back, but he brings them back in a better place so that they can actually thrive in the forest and do good for the planet. So he's got a very hard job. They both have a very hard job. And they're losing this battle. And they don't know why until one day Yumi finally just tells them. Yumi's like, you're losing the battle because you haven't found Midori. Who the fuck is Midori? This is Midori. Her name in short is Midori, but her entire name is Midori no Daiichi, which literally translates from Japanese to English, Green Earth. Midori is a grass spirit, or a nature spirit, if you will. She's not necessarily a sprite, because her children are sprites, but she's like the cross between a sprite and a goddess in this story. And this girl is a Volk School A Sweet Dreams version, so the sleeping version, on an SD13, and she's gotten her face up done by me. All of them have had face ups by me, which is obvious, I guess, if you've been watching me for a while. Isn't this hat cute? This hat is so cute. Like, she told me she wanted a garden on her head, and I was like, okay, let's figure out how to make a garden on this girl's head. So Midori, she's the reason why your house gets overcome by like wisteria and stuff, weeds and plants alike. They are her children. She makes sure that they go from being little seeds to actual full-grown plants of any sort, both poisonous, medicinal, all of it. Those are her children. However, Midori has not depleted her essence, but she's given too much. She's done something that I know all too well about, where she's given all of her goodness to the earth and to circumstances and to people, so much that she is more human than she's ever been. Midori is fighting her damnedest to help her children. That forest, those are her babies. She's trying so very, 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 very hard to keep them close and to nurture them. And she's losing this battle because of the industrialization and the entitlement that people have on this land. Why is she in this one forest, and why is it so important to her? This forest is her birthplace. It's her birthplace, and it's where she's created all of the things seed-wise that she's gone all over the world and planted. This garden means something to her, and if this garden dies, she feels she will most certainly go with it, and thus bringing the end to bees and the reproduction system of plants and plants as a whole, which is bad, definitely bad. So Midori, I plan on getting the open-eyed school A head at some point, but this is Midori in her Daiichi state, which is her Earth state. And I love having her around. There's something so calming about her. Also, I don't have her over here, but Scraps, my Lucis sleeping faceplate, and Scraps is a doll, and she's aware that she's a doll. Turns out, Scraps is hers. And Scraps has been her companion doll since day one. She's had her since childhood, and Midori is thousands of years old. So Scraps is thousands of years old, and the reason why Scraps is aware she's a doll, Scraps is a doll that is alive, and only alive to her. So more like an imaginary friend, I guess. No one else knows she's alive. She just looks like this beat up old Raggedy Ann doll that just so happens to be very, very ethereal feeling. But Midori's essence is in Scraps. She brought Scraps to life, and that's why Scraps knows she's a doll, and Scraps is an aid in helping her maintain her flame, if you will, like keeping her sane and alive. Unbeknownst to Midori, Scraps holds a lot of Midori's powers, and will probably, but we're not sure yet, be a key point in saving Midori specifically. Not the forest, but Midori specifically. So Scraps feels very deep very deep feelings for Midori, and Scraps is supposed to be like a Raggedy Ann kind of a doll, and Midori has absorbed Scraps has absorbed many of Midori's tears for the planet, for humanity, for herself, and for her brother. This is Uriel. Uriel had a very different face up in the last few videos, but this kid here is Uriel, and Uriel is Midori's older brother. Midori's very sad for Uriel. Uriel still loves the planet, but he's tired. He's tired, and he cares, but he can't invest himself into fixing humanity's problems like Midori continues to do. Because he recognizes that sometimes you should choose your battles. Midori wants to fix it all. He wants to fix small problems. He wants to help Ander. He wants to help Ander. He wants to help Ander bring plants back to life, because all he really cares about are just the plants. He doesn't like Julius, which is interesting because they're brothers. Ander and Julius are brothers. But he doesn't like Julius because he feels like Julius, while he's doing good, he's not going all in enough, essentially. He feels like this guy just comes around and just gives the plants medicine. Why not get to the root of the problem? Which is why he wants to help Ander, because he feels like Ander is actually making a bigger impact than Julius. Now, he dislikes Julius. He doesn't hate him. He still respects what he does. He just feels like he could do a bit more. And Julius can do a bit more. He just doesn't know that yet. So that's caused him and Midori they're still pretty close, but she feels like she's losing her brother because he's changing, and he feels like I'm losing my sister because she's not changing, and she cares a little too much. We need to get to the root of the problem. She wants to fix all of the problems. I just want to fix the root. But yeah, that's where I'm at so far. I feel like it's a bigger story, and it's interesting. There's been this trend going along for a while now, starting with Yumi, that has been involving the destruction and reconstruction of plant life. And I don't know why that intrigues me so much. Or maybe it didn't start with Yumi. I think maybe it started with my Mimichu. Because, well, maybe it didn't. I honestly cannot remember, like, when it started coming together. But I do remember Yumi being a very big part of that. I do. But even my Villatune's Mimichu, she's a part of the story because she's a field mice. And she's kind of like a sub-story, because her whole thing is figuring out what the fuck she is. She's not aware that she's a humanoid rat. And she thinks she's human. And Yumi is kind of like not really telling her what's going on with her. She's kind of leaving breadcrumbs and allowing her to make up her own conclusion. And that's been really fun to kind of follow. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. And then maybe in figuring out Mimichu's existence herself, we can figure out where Dumpling goes. Because Dumpling is like this creature, and he's kind of up in the air. I don't really know where to fit him, but I do love having him around. Dolls. That's what I've been doing. And now that I'm no longer doing commissions, I'll be able to work more with my own dolls. So yes. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Say bye to the people. Come on. Come on. Say bye to the people. Do you want to say bye to the people? He doesn't want to say bye to the people.